Car names matter. They carry personality, heritage, emotion, and ideally, they should make people want to buy the car. But sometimes automakers either don't do enough research, or they just plain ignore common sense. Today, we're diving into the 7 worst car names ever, and trust me, these names are so bad, they either tanked sales, forced rebrands, or became running jokes in the automotive world. Now, before we get into it, let me ask you, if you walked into a dealership and the salesman said, "Sir, would you like to buy a car called the Booger?" How fast would you walk out? Yeah, exactly. Let's get into it. 1. Mitsubishi Pajero. Starting strong with the Mitsubishi Pajero. At first glance, the name sounds rugged, tough, adventurous, perfect for an off-road SUV. Pajero even has a nice ring to it. But if you speak Spanish, you already know the problem. In Spanish slang, Pajero means, well, to put it politely, a man who enjoys solo hobbies a bit too much. Not exactly the image you want tied to your family-friendly SUV. Imagine the sales pitch. "Sir, this Pajero comes with 4-wheel drive and, plenty of privacy." Awkward. Mitsubishi quickly learned their mistake and renamed it Montero in Spanish-speaking markets and Shogun in the UK. But the damage was done. The Pajero became one of the most infamous examples of why car companies must check translations before going global. Fun fact, despite the embarrassing name, the Pajero itself was actually a fantastic SUV, winning the Dakar Rally multiple times. But still, people remember it less for the victories and more for the name blunder. 2. Mazda Laputa. Next, let's talk about the Mazda Laputa. On paper, this was a small, cute K car launched in Japan. And Mazda thought they were being clever by naming it after the floating island in Gulliver's Travels. Sounds literary, right? Except, in Spanish, Laputa means the whore. Yep, Mazda basically rolled out a car that literally translated to the whore. Now imagine this. A teenager saves up to buy their first car, proudly drives home in a brand new Mazda, only for their grandma in Mexico to say, "Mijo, why did you buy a whore?" The worst part? The name probably sounded cool to the Japanese designers who were thinking of European literature. But this shows how disconnected branding teams can be from global culture. Mazda eventually killed off the name in export markets, but the internet never forgets. Even today, the Laputa is memed on Spanish forums as one of the dumbest car names in history. 3. Nissan Moco. Now we move to Nissan with the Nissan Moco, a small K car designed to be cute, compact, and affordable. The name Moco was supposed to be light-hearted and catchy. But once again, if you speak Spanish, you know what's coming. Moco literally means snot or booger. Yes, Nissan named their car the Booger. Imagine the dealership pitch. This model is small, efficient, and comes in bright green. And the customer replies, "So, like mucus?" And to make it worse, Nissan actually did release a green version. I don't know if that was intentional irony or just horrible timing, but it gave people plenty of ammo for jokes. The Moco did okay in Japan, but it became a global laughingstock online. It's a classic example of why brands need a multilingual focus group before releasing cars worldwide. 4. Buick LaCrosse. Alright, next up, the Buick LaCrosse. On the surface, the name makes sense. Lacrosse is a popular sport in North America, symbolizing energy, athleticism, and teamwork. But in French-speaking Quebec, lacrosse has a completely different meaning. It's a slang word for, well, self-pleasure. Another one in the list of cars accidentally named after solo activities. The backlash was strong enough that Buick had to rename the car as the Buick Allure in Canada for years. But even then, jokes kept coming. Here's the thing, Buick wasn't aiming for teenagers or young buyers. Their market was older, more conservative drivers. So a name with such a risque slang meaning? Disaster. Imagine a 65-year-old retiree saying, "Yes, I drive a brand new Buick. Jerk off. Yeah, no thanks." 5. Isuzu Mysterious Utility Wizard. Now, this one's just weird. The Isuzu MU Wizard. MU stood for Mysterious Utility, which already sounds like a bootleg Marvel superhero. But then they slapped on Wizard, creating the full name, Mysterious Utility Wizard. It's like they couldn't decide if they were naming an SUV or a character from Lord of the Rings. You shall not pass, unless you've got four-wheel drive. To be fair, the MU Wizard was an okay SUV mechanically. But the name was so confusing it became a marketing nightmare. Nobody wants to tell their friends, yeah, I just bought a Mysterious Utility Wizard. It sounds more like an anime series than a car. 6. AMC Gremlin. Alright, now on to the AMC Gremlin. This one is iconic because AMC basically shot themselves in the foot. A gremlin is a mythical creature known for causing mechanical problems, breaking stuff, and wreaking havoc. So AMC thought, perfect, let's name our new car after that. It's like naming a plane the Crash or naming a boat the Sinker. Why? The Gremlin itself was a cheap, compact car launched during the 1970s energy crisis. But instead of being remembered as a practical little car, it became a punchline, partly because of its awkward design, but mostly because of its name. Even car reviewers at the time made jokes like, the AMC Gremlin lives up to its name. It's full of problems. Ouch. 7. Chevrolet Nova. And finally, the legendary Chevrolet Nova. Now, let me be clear, this car wasn't actually a failure in terms of sales. It sold fairly well in the US. But when GM tried to market it in Latin America, they didn't realize Nova in Spanish could be read as no VA, which literally means it doesn't go. Now, debate still exists about how badly this affected sales, but the joke was too perfect to ignore. Imagine the ad campaign. By the all-new Chevrolet, it doesn't go. That's comedy gold. GM eventually brushed it off, but to this day, the Nova is still brought up in every marketing class as an example of why translation matters. And that's for today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Got thoughts, questions, or video ideas? Drop them down in the comments. I read every single one.